I've talked a lot on this channel about ways that narcissists can lead us on 3-hour arguments, how they can bait us into responding to text messages, how they can provoke us into arguing with them over nothing. But I haven't really gone into too much detail about exactly how it is that they do this. So in this video, I'm going to go over several examples of tactics that narcissists use to bait us into arguing with them. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. So I've put together a list of several ways that narcissists can really tempt us into responding to their ridiculous provocations, into ways that narcissists can really kind of trick us into coming back to a pointless, endless conversation or argument. And the first way that they do this is simply just to misunderstand things, or quote, misunderstand things. I'm sure that many of us have experienced this. Maybe we said something and they heard something else, or they just misunderstood what we said. And of course, they misunderstand it in a way that makes us some horrible, thoughtless human being. So it's really hard to resist the urge to try to correct this. I mean, if I say something like, "Did you do the laundry yesterday?" and the narcissist comes back with, "What? Why are you asking me that? What, am I the maid now? I'm supposed to do everything around here?" It's almost impossible not to try to defend yourself and come back and say, "No, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to know if you did the laundry yesterday." And then they'll come back with, "Oh, you know what you meant. You think that I'm supposed to do everything around here. When's the last time you did the laundry?" And, well, I did the laundry last week. "Oh, sure you did. Uh-huh." And now they've just horribly misunderstood you. And when they misunderstand you, narcissists never seem to be able to figure it out. They can never come back from this misunderstanding. They've absolutely committed themselves to whatever it is that they think they heard. And I'm sure many of us have experienced this as well. And this can keep us going for hours trying to explain, trying to tell this person that, "No, I didn't mean to say that you're the one that needs to do the laundry all the time. That's not what I meant. That's not what I said." But what many of us don't realize when we get caught in this is that the narcissist did not misunderstand, or not in the way that it seems like they did. The narcissist hears whatever they want to hear. It doesn't really matter what you actually said. Maybe you did say, "Did you do the laundry yesterday?" And maybe you even have a recording of yourself saying this, and that's all you said. You didn't say, "Did you do the laundry yesterday? Because you never do the laundry. You never do anything around here. Why do I have to do everything?" But that's what the narcissist heard. That's what the narcissist feels like you said. And that's all that matters to the narcissist. And this is pretty messed up. But for a narcissist, when they feel like you meant to insult them, that becomes their reality. And now, because they feel like you tried to insult them and they believe that that is reality, no matter what you actually said, no matter how many hours of time you spend trying to defend yourself, they now feel that you need to be punished for saying that to them, or you need to be punished for thinking that, because they know that's what you really meant. And so they are really going to enjoy watching you try to explain for 3 hours what you really meant. They're not going to give you the satisfaction of agreeing with you or agreeing with your interpretation, because they know what you really meant, and now you deserve this angst and this endless turmoil that you're now in trying to explain what you really meant. And so this is a really common way that narcissists can bait us into arguing with them over nothing for hours, days, weeks, or years. It's important to understand that when this happens, the narcissist doesn't care what you actually said. They don't care. And they don't believe you, and they will not believe you when you try to tell them what you really meant. because they interpret reality through their emotions, and they will always trust their emotions before they will trust you. When you try to tell them, that's not what I meant, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way, if that's what you thought I meant, they just think you're trying to trick them now, because they already know what's real, because they felt it. They felt like you meant to insult them. And that is reality. And when you are trying to argue with what they interpret as reality, now they trust you even less, and now they want to punish you even more for going against what they believe is real. The next way that narcissists bait you into arguing with them is closely related to the first, but it is that they will accuse you of doing things that you didn't do, or not doing things that you did do. And these are always things that you cannot prove. Something like, you're not even trying, or you just need to try harder, or you didn't even try. You can't prove to somebody that you did or didn't try. You can't measure or show someone how hard you're trying at something. So I think this is a real favorite for narcissists that are trying to pick a fight with you, because you're really quite defenseless. All you can do is keep saying over and over again, I'm trying my best. No, I'm really, really trying. I am trying. No, I'm trying. I'm really trying. And possibly many of us have experienced this, and you know that a narcissist will never believe you and will never accept what you're saying. And even if there was some way to objectively prove that you're trying really hard, they still wouldn't believe you. This can come in other forms, like, you don't care. You don't even care about me. I mean, you can't prove that you care about somebody. Or they might say something like, you did that on purpose, something that was purely an accident. And this can keep you really walking on eggshells, because you know that if you mess up on accident, if you accidentally spill something, or you accidentally ruin something, or whatever, they're going to accuse you of doing it on purpose. And you can't prove your intentions. This can keep you arguing for hours, because this is really hurtful. It's really hard to accept that somebody that you care about and love believes that you did something to harm them on purpose, or that you're purposefully withholding something that they need that's reasonable. This is really hard to accept. It's really hard to just shrug it off and walk away and say, believe whatever you want, when that is the only way to settle this. It's just too tempting to try to defend ourselves and try to convince this person, no, that's not true. I do care about you, or I am trying, or I would never do that on purpose. Really, you have to accept that the narcissist, again, is interpreting reality through their feelings. And this 3-hour argument that you can get baited into participating in is really just something that serves their ego and proves to them how guilty you really are. Another way that narcissists bait you into endless, pointless arguments is just insulting you. This is really simple. All they have to do is just tell you that you're stupid, or you're ugly, or you don't dress nice, or your cooking is awful, or whatever. Or they can tell you that somebody else told them that. And this can just get anybody going really for hours. I mean, nobody likes to be insulted. And this is especially insidious when it's something that's not true, or something that's maybe a little subjective, but just makes you stop and wonder. And it can really eat away at your self-worth. I remember one particular narcissist a long time ago told me that I needed to lose weight. And this was like, I was like 25 pounds lighter than I am right now. I've just been a little too happy the last few years. I don't know. But I mean, I was like 25 pounds lighter than I am now. I, in my opinion, did not need to lose weight. I was very happy at the weight I was. I was very fit. And yeah, he just started telling me I needed to lose weight. He started saying, you know, I don't want to be with somebody that just gains weight the older they get. You're 10 or 20 pounds too heavy. I can't remember how much he thought I needed to lose. But this was really, really hurtful. And I remember spending a lot of time looking up like BMI charts and like how much people weigh around the world, trying to show him that I had a normal average weight, that it was a healthy weight. I mean, trying to prove objectively to him that I was not overweight. And what a huge, gigantic waste of time. He probably absolutely loved that I was so upset about this and spending so much time and energy trying to convince him that I didn't need to lose weight. And there were plenty of other insults that he hurled at me, and I responded in a similar way, trying to show him, no, that's not the way I am. No, that's not true. Or even just getting angry. Just getting angry at somebody that's insulting you instead of walking away from them really adds fuel to the fire, and it adds credibility to what they're saying. If you were walking past a schoolyard and a 3-year-old started yelling at you through the fence and calling you names, would you stop and start arguing with the 3-year-old? If the 3-year-old said, "You're an ugly poo-poo head," would you stop and say, "What? I'm not. No, I'm not." And would you argue for 3 hours with this 3-year-old about why you're not a poo-poo head? I mean, that's really essentially what you're doing when you spend any time arguing with a narcissist about their insults, because their insults come from exactly the same place and they are just as valid as those of an angry little 3-year-old that doesn't even know you. And when you sit and argue and get all upset and worked up and you start looking things up and trying to prove them wrong, it just makes them feel more important, more powerful, more in control. It makes them feel really good about themselves that they're able to cause you such distress and interrupt your day and just put such a powerful hold on your emotions and completely take up all your time and resources in now trying to make them think something as if their opinion is so important. And that's really what you're showing them. You're showing them your opinion of me is so important that I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and I'm going to spend hours trying to convince you that this insult you've hurled at me isn't true. And they are never going to give that up. They're never going to give that back to you because it feels too good for them to watch you spend so much time and energy trying to prove them wrong. Another way that narcissists will bait you into arguing with them is they'll just say something really outrageous or something that just makes no sense at all, or something completely out of left field that just makes you stop and say, "What?" And this might be something that really pulls the rug out from under you. Maybe you went out for dinner with them and you had a really good time, or you thought you were having a really good time all evening. Maybe you went out with some friends and maybe you had a few drinks, and to you, everything was going really well and everything felt nice. It was a nice social outing and everybody seemed nice to you and you were nice to them and everything felt really great and you had a great time. And then on your way home, the narcissist might just suddenly say something like, "Wow, you really embarrassed me tonight." Like, what? You drank way too much. Weren't you even paying attention to how you were acting? You were totally embarrassing me. Never drink that much in front of my friends again. And it's like, maybe this is like 3 hours later and you're thinking, I drank too much? I thought everything was going fine. And this can certainly lead you on an endless argument about, how appropriate your behavior actually was and how much you actually drank. And you might really start overanalyzing it, thinking like, well, no, his friend drank twice as much as I did, or his other friend was acting a lot more drunk than I was. What is he talking about? I embarrassed him. And you might even start trying to apologize. Of course, they're not going to accept any apology, but this is just an example of something that just comes totally out of left field, something totally outrageous and unexpected that just pulls the rug right out from under you. And you don't even really have time to absorb it and think about what's being said. You immediately jump into trying to defend yourself. Another way narcissists will bait you into arguments is just refusing to acknowledge simple things that don't make any sense. Like maybe you were on your lunch break at work and you were driving past a certain restaurant or whatever, and you happened to see the narcissist driving the opposite way. And there was nothing wrong with this. This was the general area they worked in, so it wasn't weird or anything. And maybe later that night, you say, "Oh, I saw you at lunch today. I saw you in front of whatever the restaurant was." And they say, "No, that wasn't me." and you absolutely are sure that you saw them. You're sure it was them. You saw them there. And there's no reason for them to want to hide this. It's normal for them to have been there. So this is just like this really simple thing that is true that they're refusing to acknowledge for no clear reason. And you can say something like, well, no, I know I saw you. It's not a big deal. I almost wasn't even going to mention it. I just remembered it and thought it was kind of cool that I saw you at lunch. You didn't see me at lunch. I wasn't there. Well, why are you, what, huh? I remember an experience I had when I was younger. A much older man that was, he was an in-law. And I was at his house and he had just gotten this new security system, and the door made a certain noise. When the back door opened, there was this dinging noise that would sound throughout the entire house. And the system that he was using was a system that another relative used. So I was very, very, very familiar with this very specific dinging sound that the door would make. Anyway, I'm at his house and he's talking about the security system, and I heard it ding. And I'm still 100% sure I heard it ding. And I said, oh, did somebody open the door? I just heard it ding just now. And he said, no, you didn't. And this was probably like 12 years ago, and it still just annoys me so much. And I said, yeah, I did. I just heard it just now. It just dinged. And he said, no, it didn't ding. It only dings when the door opens. Like, well, I guess maybe somebody opened the door because I know I heard it. And he just wouldn't acknowledge me. He just absolutely refused to accept that I heard the ding. It wasn't like, oh, you did? That's strange. Let's go see if somebody opened the door. Maybe the cat opened the door or something. It was just, no, it didn't. It didn't ding. And it was like, it was so clear. Everybody had to have heard it. And of course, nobody in the room wanted to get involved because they probably knew him better than I did. But this is really common with narcissists, to just deny reality and refuse to acknowledge just really simple, stupid things that don't matter. It's one thing when a narcissist refuses to acknowledge something that might get them in trouble or might be embarrassing, but narcissists will just pick some random thing to deny just to annoy you, just to get you to start arguing with them, just to bother you, because they know how hard it is to resist trying to defend yourself and trying to insert your sense of reality into the situation. And I think this is probably one of the most infuriating tactics to me. It's so hard to let it go when a narcissist just won't acknowledge some simple little piece of reality and won't even respect you enough to consider that maybe you didn't imagine what you're insisting you saw or heard. Another tactic that narcissists can use to bait you into an argument is to bring up an old pain, an old hurt from your past, or something you did, maybe a mistake you made like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, to just suddenly bring it up when it really isn't relevant to the situation, but for them to try to fit it into the situation somehow. Like something like, was your mom really so hard on you that now you can't even listen to what I'm saying? Or is this really that difficult for you? Is this like the time that you failed your high school math class? Depending on how deep of an old hurt this might be, how deep of a wound this is, this could actually be something that feels emotionally violent, like an emotional sort of slap in the face when they just suddenly bring something up from the past that maybe still causes us a lot of pain. And so this can naturally really trigger us and cause us to start engaging in a 3-hour-long argument over nothing. And we might argue with something like, that was a long time ago, or it was just a mistake, or we might say something like, how could you bring that? What does that have to do with this? Why would you bring something up so hurtful when it has nothing to do with whatever it is we're arguing about. And narcissists really will just keep insisting that whatever it is they said was appropriate to the situation. And because they have such little empathy, especially when they're angry, they don't really care how much it hurts you if you bring up a past wound or you bring up something that still really hurts. They don't care about that, especially since whatever it is they're upset about, they have pretty much convinced themselves that you deserve to be punished, even if you didn't do anything. The fact that they are feeling angry and upset or insecure or a little out of control, it's always going to be your fault because it can't be their fault. And in a narcissist's mind, it has to be someone's fault. So if they're upset, it has to be your fault. So you deserve for those past wounds to come up. You deserve whatever they can throw at you. And so when you come back with, how could you bring something like that up in this situation? That is so hurtful. They just feel like that's like a win because they feel like you deserve that. So that's not going to make them think twice about what they're saying. What you've basically said to them when you say that is, that's a good one. You can bring that up later too if you ever need to hurt me again. And one more way that narcissists can bait us into arguments is just remembering things wrong. Narcissists can make up stories out of whole cloth, and they can really seem to believe it. They can say something like, remember last year when you were so rude to my parents and they kept trying to say bye to you and you were just ignoring them? I've actually heard this one, and what? Or maybe it's just something that they agreed to and now you're coming to collect on whatever it is they said they were going to do, and they say, I never agreed to that. And you try to remind them, yeah, you did. Remember yesterday night, right after dinner, you said that you were going to do this, that, and the other. I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. Or maybe you got into some sort of agreement that they can't back out of. Maybe it's some sort of legal contract or something that they're stuck in, and you sat and talked about it, and that they were very clear on what it was they were agreeing to. And now that they have to do whatever it was that they agreed to, now they might say something like, you tricked me. I didn't know that was what I was agreeing to. You knew that I didn't know about that, and you tricked me into agreeing to whatever that was, when you remember having a very clear, long conversation about whatever it is that they're now trying to accuse you of tricking them into. When narcissists remember things wrong, what they're really doing is rewriting history, which they feel like they have the right and the ability to do. It's not that narcissists are psychotic. They remember what really happened. They do. They remember what you really said, and they remember what they really agreed to. But now that it's in the future, they don't like that. Whatever it was they don't like that anymore, and they would like to change history now. And it's not that they don't remember what was said. It's that the way that they feel and what they want to believe and what their fantasy world consists of is more important and more relevant than whatever really happened. So if they promised that they were going to mop the floor last night, and now you're asking them to mop the floor, and they say, I never promised to mop the floor. It's not that they don't remember saying, I promised to mop the floor. It's that right now they wish that they hadn't said that. So they're just going to magic it away because they really feel like because they're the center of the universe and the whole world revolves around them and they're the only real person that actually exists or matters, they should be able to just will the history that they don't like away, to just say, I didn't say that, and therefore make it so. And you better cooperate with them if you really care about them. That's how they think, that's how they look at it. And when you try to insist, no, that's not what you said, remember? Even if you have a recording of it, they don't care. They're telling you what happened. They're not telling you what really happened because they don't care what really happened. They're telling you what happened in their world, and that should override anything else, including objective reality. And this, of course, can bait you into hours and hours of endless, pointless argument. And the more upset you get at them trying to convince them that objective reality matters, the better they feel about everything, because they like seeing you get all upset and worked up trying to prove something to them that they don't care about, because the more you try to do that, the angrier they get that you're not accepting their version of reality, and the better they feel about how upset you're getting, because that's what you deserve for not going along with their fantasy. Oh, nothing really is more exhausting than going on endless, pointless arguments with people that don't care about what really happened, and don't care about how you feel, and don't care about the way that the argument is affecting you, and don't care if you have to get up for work in the morning if they're having a great time watching you argue with them about nothing until 3 o'clock in the morning. What I hope the real takeaway in this video is for you is that arguing with a narcissist over anything is a gigantic waste of time. And it can be really hard to get to this point where you understand and accept this. Because when you're with someone that you really love and trust, and you think loves and trusts you, you think that you're in a healthy reciprocal relationship, it doesn't really make sense to just let these things go. When they insult you or say hurtful things, it doesn't make sense to just accept that, because they need to understand that they've hurt you. But what you're not realizing is that they don't care. And same goes for misunderstandings. If this is someone you love and care about and you have a healthy reciprocal relationship with, and they think that you meant to say something insulting to them, or they think that you did something that shows how little you care, of course you're going to want them to understand that you do care and that that's not what you meant. You don't want them walking away thinking that you don't care about them or that you would purposefully hurt them, because you actually care about the relationship and you actually care about what they think. So it is really hard to kind of cross that bridge and realize that you're with someone that's actively working against you, that is using you as a sort of tool to regulate their own emotions at your expense, and that they don't care how much it hurts you, that they're the only one that matters in this relationship, and they will use you any way they need to make themselves feel better about themselves. So you really are living with the enemy in this kind of a relationship. And it's really hard to get to that point where you realize that these arguments are happening just for the sake of the argument, because the argument makes the narcissist feel better about themselves in so many ways. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel like they have control over your emotions. It makes them feel like their ridiculous fantasy ideas are relevant and credible because you're spending time arguing about it. And it makes them feel a sense of satisfaction, of vindictiveness, to see how upset you're getting after they've imagined that you've done some awful thing that needs punishing. So these arguments are never going to get you anywhere. They are never going to acknowledge that they lied, or they misunderstood, or they made something up, or they shouldn't have insulted you. They are never going to acknowledge the things that you are desperately trying to get them to address, acknowledge, or apologize for. Because if they did that, then they wouldn't have this fun little argument to play with anymore. And these arguments are so important to them and make them feel so good about themselves, and at the very least, interrupt their boredom and give them some form of entertainment. So I hope that you can keep this in mind when you get caught in these endless, pointless arguments and they throw these baits at you to bait you into coming back and trying to defend yourself, trying to clear things up. These are just tricks. These are manipulation tactics. They aren't saying anything that they actually care about. They are throwing things at you, trying to get you to react, trying to make you upset, trying to find a way to rope you into another 3-hour argument. And when you understand that, you can use your frustration and anger in that moment to resist the urge to engage. Because if you really want to win this argument, there's nothing more frustrating for them than when you refuse to participate. If you're looking for a way to support my channel and you've been considering professional therapy, BetterHelp is offering 10% off of their first month of service if you sign up using the link below in my description. And if you sign up using the link below in my description, I will get a one-time commission. So that'll help me out, and it'll help you out as well if that's something you've been thinking about doing. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.